Welcome to the show.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Nick Reynolds, Steve Harness, and Cousin Brewski. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Welcome back to the program.
Welcome to the show.
It's The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Olive Brewski back at it, and I know this doesn't matter to you, but I'll say it anyway. We're recording on a Sunday, which feels good.
Oh, it's God's day. We're stepping all over him. I hope that's okay.
It's a bit holy. Welcome to the program. See our webpage online, thevocalminority.net, and all our socials can be found there. You can still communicate with the program. We haven't taken that option away.
No.
You don't seem to want to use it, but I mean, come on.
We're getting plenty of comments in the comments section, but not a lot of direct communication. So feel free to reach out, people, especially Wichita, who is still listening to every freaking episode, and now someone else in Wichita is tuned in. So,
oh, really?
That's one of our original markets back in the old radio days. So reach out, people. Come on.
Yeah. No, don't have to be embarrassed to reach out. I feel like people only reach out when it's a. I had a terrible experience at Dunkin' Donuts. You know, maybe no one's had a terrible experience with us.
Well, people are certainly upset with us, but that's the comments section.
That's the comments, yeah.
Yeah, and that's an old radio rule of thumb. People usually only call to complain. They usually don't reach out to say, hey, you guys are doing a great job. Just keep it up.
Keep it up. We love it.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, it is a holy day, but we're all about the holes around here, so party on.
Early on, harness.
Yes. So, yeah.
All right. Well, today, Need to Know News is what we do. Are you ready for Need to Know News?
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know. Start the news chant, please. Come on. News, 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 news.
Almost too much news going on of late to even put into one episode, so we'll see what we can get to here. But I have two quick articles to start off with that I will put under the heading of The Vocal Minority Was Right Again.
Oh, okay. Wow. I love these, dude. These are great.
Yes. First and foremost, did you all see? We always talk on the show about the fact that conservatives, Republicans tend to be giant flaming hypocrites, that they do not practice what they preach. And they're willing, they're just hypocrites left and right. And speaking of comment sections getting us screamed at and death threats and everything else, the whole Kid Rock, boycotting Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney. Did we all see Kid Rock this week?
Yeah. So funny, dude. So funny.
Congratulations. Kid Rock was photographed drinking Bud Light.
Yeah, I just couldn't put it down.
Enjoying a BL. He couldn't quit it.
He obviously, shot Bud Light up with an AK-47, or I don't know what the gun is, so don't kill me. But he, shot it all up, and he said, Bud Light, dead to me. Anheuser-Busch as a whole, dead to me. And how many weeks has it been?
Yeah. We're going on a few months here, I guess. But not only was he photographed at a concert, and he was up in one of, the skyboxes or something, so maybe he thought he would get away with it, but he was photographed hanging over the railing, can of Bud Light in his hands. And it's also been shown that his bar that he has in Tennessee or Kentucky or whatever it is,
Tennessee,
they never stopped selling Bud Light and are still selling it to this day. So,
dude, if I was Anheuser-Busch, I would still steal that screenshot. That should be the new Bud Light ad, chilling with Bud Light, Hard to
this
give
Bud's
up.
for you.
So, Kid Rock showing that, yes, conservatives are giant hypocrites and don't stick by what they, preach at you and are just trying to rile you up. So don't fall for that kind of garbage. And
that's right.
I did immediately go to the, Facebook page for us where we had the 10,000 views on that Kid Rock video. And I posted that picture of multiple people's comments with hashtag hypocrite. And nobody's responded as of yet.
Of course not. Of course not. Why would they?
Right. So
the only response I ever have seen from it is Photoshop. No, it's real, dude.
No fake news here. Kid Rock likes his Bud Light. So not putting his money where his mouth is with his bar or his actual mouth. So
And really, if it was Photoshop, wouldn't the photo be super clear? Because the photo's just a little blurry because someone caught it from below with a camera phone.
Right. Yeah,
it's just screened inside a little, but it's Bud Light. You can see.
Yeah, you can see. You know what can it is, absolutely. But so of course, if it was Photoshop, someone would go through the trouble of making it look really clear and awesome.
It'd look like clip art, it would be real nice.
But we didn't need to fake it because they're the fakers, and there they are drinking Bud Lights. And so that's fun. And then, we were talking about the Barbie movie here on the show, and Nick and I had said that it was brilliant. It was a masterpiece. It's, just brilliant social commentary. And I would put it up there with something like, Born on the 4th of July or The Color Purple, like Philadelphia, like movies that just have, put a mirror to society, right?
Yeah. You leave. If you go to the movie with someone, you leave and you're talking about it right away, pondering like what happened in the movie. Like it starts social conversation and could change, some of the things that are happening in our society.
Indeed. I was hanging out with Dottie and one of her mom friends, and I said, like, have you seen Barbie yet, to her friend? And she was like, I've seen it twice. Like,
right. Yeah, there's a lot of people seeing it. You haven't seen it yet, Brewski?
I have not, no.
Yeah. Rachel
Are you
hasn't
holding
seen
out?
it either.
Are you going to see it at some point?
I may, yeah. I haven't gone to the movies for anything I want to see. So it's not like it's any one particular movie I'm holding out on. It's just I haven't gone to the movies.
Well, when it makes it to streaming or whatever, you definitely need to watch it. So the news on that, Barbie beats Batman. So Warner Brothers, the studio Warner Brothers, their all-time, top grossing movie forever now has been The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's version of Batman that came out years ago. It made $536 million for Warner Brothers.
Who is that boy?
Who's what boy?
The Batman. Who plays Batman?
Oh, Christian Bale is that Batman.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And those are...
Yes.
Exactly. One of the bad guys in the movie.
Bane, yeah.
Yeah. And if you have never seen those movies, by the way, I mean, they're some of the best superhero movies ever. So well done, so realistic. You watch that first Batman and you're like, I could be Batman. Like a real human could be Batman. You see how it's conceivable.
Yeah, I gotta start some of them. I'm starting to get pumped up on some of these movies you're telling me to watch. Like I've never been excited to see them, or like I'll watch it with you if you want me to, but like I'm not gonna donate my time, to it. But I'm starting to get there.
You've got a pop culture hole in your repertoire. So,
yeah,
and they're entertaining movies. So
I still can't believe you haven't seen DC Cab. I mean, come on.
He hasn't seen This Is Spinal Tap yet. I mean, that's offense.
No, I've never seen it.
Nick got cloned on Facebook this week, and I'm hoping maybe your clone has seen Spinal Tap so the two of us can hang out at least.
It's my AI assistant, dude. Yeah.
So anyways, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight was Warner Brothers' top title from 2008, making $536 million. And as of this week, and this isn't done yet, Barbie hit $537 million.
Oof.
Wow.
It's funny, dude. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. So it's now the top grossing film of all time for Warner Brothers Studios. So,
well, this is just another thing for the writers to point to and say, see, pay us, you effers. Pay us.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, I am worried that Hollywood's going to get the wrong message from Barbie's success and start just making toy movies or something. Like, that's not the point of Barbie.
Yeah.
So, if they want to make sequels or other movies that are social, commentary, go for it. But please don't just start making toy movies thinking that that's what this was. So,
in that vein, I saw something that I hope is just somebody creating their own little poster.
Yeah.
And not a real thing. But I saw that Mark Wahlberg might star in The $6 Billion Man.
Oh, that is true. No, that's
God. He's already ruined he already ruined Spencer for Hire for me. Now he's gonna ruin this too. You can't do that.
He played Spencer for Hire.
Even Oscar Goldman says you can't do that, Mark Wahlberg. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Wow, Brewski's holding up an original $6 Million Man doll. That's
actually this is Oscar Goldman. He was Steve Austin's boss.
Oh wow, even more specific.
That's very specific.
That's great. No, I heard about that a while ago. That while Marky Mark was going to remake the $6 Million Man, that would be by today's standard, everyone would have bionic limbs, or every rich person. So
yeah,
they had to call it the $6 Billion Man. So
and yes, Nick, he actually did a Spencer for Hire movie, and it was just as bad as you would think that it was.
See, I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was brilliant, but I don't know. I kind of like Marky Mark. I think he's good.
No, but see, here's the thing. Have you ever watched the original TV show?
No, I don't think I have actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that would probably make a difference if you like the show originally, right?
Yeah, but the other thing too is that set and that show was filmed entirely here in Boston and Somerville, like everywhere around here when I was a teenager. And we used to go and watch them film scenes and that sort of thing. And everybody loved that show. It was a great show. And the books are fantastic. It's by Robert B. Parker. But the movie was awful. Just awful.
Yeah,
Speaking of awful movies and Marky Wahlberg, I just watched the new Transformers movie. I wasted $6 renting that one. And this one takes place, it's a prequel, basically. It takes place in the early 90s. And if you recall, Mark Wahlberg took over for Shia LaBeouf at some point in these Transformers movies, and he was the star of one of them. They pretty much all sucked, and I just keep watching them for some reason.
You liked the first one?
The first one was all right, and then they just went off a cliff after that. But in this prequel, they make a joke. It's in the early 90s, and they say, like, hey, did you hear Marky Mark's leaving the Funky Bunch to become an actor? Like, an actor? Like, that's crazy. You know,
was it a dig at him, dude?
It was kind of a dig and kind of funny, referencing that he would, of course, be in the Transformer movies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like Marky Mark for the most part. He's done some good movies, but
you like him as an actor or a humanitarian?
I like his burgers. I've actually never had a Wahlburger. Are those huge in Boston, Brewski?
They're not huge here. They're always, except for the one that's north of me, that's at this kind of swanky outdoor mall. They're usually in tourist places. Like there's one by Fenway Park. There's one in the airport.
Is it a good burger though? Have you had it?
It's a burger.
Oh, okay.
I've eaten there a couple times. Yeah, but it's a burger. It's nothing spectacular or anything like that. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, we don't have any around here that I know of, but I'll watch them on film. So.
All right. Yeah. Well, good. Marky Mark still taking your money, Steven. You ready?
I'm ready.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know.
Hello, Americans. This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news.
Maybe a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, I did a story and it talked about religion and the way that it's changing when it comes to Trump, right?
Yes, and that was a great story you covered, by the way. The fact that, do you want to recap it?
Well, it was, I want us to say this first, okay? This is going to tie into all of what I'm going to tell you now, because there's more to this story. But, the original story said basically that these congregations were coming up to their pastors, different, men of faith leaders, and telling them, like, turn the other cheek, like, out with that. Like, that's not the way it is anymore.
Right. Those are hippie liberal talking points.
Yeah. And so it was a story about how Trump was bleeding into religion and starting to change some of the 10 Commandments. I mean, come on. So did you see that CBS put out a poll this week that was really interesting? And I mean, it's real short and simple. All right. This is not a long poll.
Okay. I'm only used to long polls, but yes. Go ahead.
They ask people, name number one who you feel like when they're talking, they're telling you the truth.
Oh, boy.
Okay. And then they asked people, went through a list. Okay. And said, hey, give us your number one. So 71% of people said Donald Trump. Okay.
71% of devout Republicans said that? I mean, it can't be all people said that.
Yes, Republicans.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Well, that's good to know 30% of them know he's full of crap, but disturbing that it'd be that high.
But it gets more interesting as the stats go on, because coming in at 63%, which was the next highest off the list, was friends and family. So they trust him more than their friends and family, which, I mean, that's crazy to me. Your wife or husband or whatever is sleeping right next to you, and you believe someone outside made Donald Trump more than that person?
I mean, it's proof of the level of insanity you have to feel that way. I mean, he has documented lie after documented lie after. I mean, come on.
What was it? The last count during his term, I think, was 39,000 lies, documented lies.
Yes.
It's crazy. So 63% friends and family, 56%, next highest amount, conservative media figures.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, as a liberal, as a Democrat, and just as a human being, that it's not real hard to tell that most of those conservative media figures are lying, or at least altering the truth, stretching the truth. I mean, it's an hour of clickbait on a newscast. It's all to scare you, rile you up.
Yeah.
You trust them?
I can tell you just as a broadcaster that what they're doing is full of crap, and they're manipulating and bending truths and flat out lying. I mean, talk about documented lies. It's been shown a million times over. And Fox News, Breitbart, Newsmax, none of them will ever go on air and take anything back unless they're facing $1 billion lawsuit like they are nowadays. But
well, like Fox, dude. Remember when all the texts came out of your boy, your angel, Tucker Carlson, being like, I hate Trump. This is BS, blah, blah. This is getting harder to stay on the air and lie. Yes. It was in print, and no one cared.
Yeah. Well, this is really an insight into how conservatives think. Donald Trump's the most trustworthy. Your family is second, although they probably have terrible families, so maybe that makes sense. But,
it's a possibility, but...
And then your Hannitys and Carlsons. Is Jesus going to show up on this list at some point?
Next, Jesus is number 4, but not necessarily Jesus, but number 4... 42% of people said religious leaders. It's 3 down from Trump.
How can you even pretend to be religious if only 42% of you believe what these people are telling you?
Isn't that insane?
I mean, it's just on its face hypocrisy and comical.
Yes.
You believe these fairy tales, but then you're saying, well, I don't believe the people telling me these things. But I mean, what do you believe then?
That is, those stats are the definition of a cult.
Yes.
Like if you think, religious affiliation can be cultish, which it can, we've proven it in the court of law with Charles Manson. So you're in a cult. You're putting him above every one of your beliefs. Family, religious leaders, like you're in a cult.
I've said a million times, the only difference between a cult and a religion is the number of members.
Right.
When the cult gets big enough, it becomes a religion all of a sudden. And at what point are the Republicans just going to be labeled a religion or a cult? Because that's what you're doing.
I was thinking about it today. I was listening to the news while I was driving. I was on MSNBC, and this reporter kept saying, and the MAGA crowd, and I was like, funny that term, that's a new term, is MAGA, that we will never forget what it means, and it doesn't mean what it is supposed to mean when you write it out in text. It's just, all I can think of is a cult whenever I hear it, dude.
Yep, that is exactly what it is. And boy, this next year and some change, I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of just like, I want to watch the fireworks, the car on fire. Because it's just going to be a disaster for the next year. And if I let myself get sucked into the stress that's going to bring out, I'm going to get an ulcer or an aneurysm. So I'm just going to have faith that enough people on Election Day are not going to vote for insanity. So let's just sit back and watch this debacle, because, Trump he's going to be found guilty of multiple things, not just one thing. And I can't see what happens.
I saw that Pence actually said that even if Trump is convicted, they should still be able to run for president. Except there's a problem here. Mike Pence forgets that if Donald Trump is convicted of the charges in D.C. alone, that's fomenting a coup against the government.
Right.
Which, by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, that would rule him to be ineligible to hold office going forward. In other words, all these people that say that they love the Constitution and respect the Constitution, well, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah. No, you got to pay attention to it all. People don't understand. I think a lot of people, when they think about the Constitution, is that they look at it as like a few different bullet points going down, like they're just short lines, free speech, and just go down. It's a long document.
Well, and like the Bible, they love cherry picking it,
Yes.
Well,
yes.
And what's funny about that too, Nick, is that when you said bullet points, I was going to say it's just like a PDB given to Trump on a daily basis.
Presidential daily briefing?
Yeah. So when
Yes.
they would give him the PDB, it had to be 1 page, and the bullet points could not exceed 5 bullet points.
Right.
And it had to be at a big, bold font. You know, they had to draw pictures on the sides of the page.
Little emojis next to it. So,
Yeah, no, but I'm serious. Yeah, 5
Yeah.
bullet points max, and that was it. And
And he didn't even read that most of the time.
And they couldn't sit there and then explain the bullet points,
Right.
Because his eyes would glaze over and
He'd poop his pants. You know.
No, I'm not joking. This
he would
is
just do a line of coke off the bullet points, poop himself.
I know you're not
coke.
joking, Brewski. That's the sad part. I know that I've seen this too. It's like, yeah, that was true. That was all very true. But
And by the way, the thing you're talking about with him being disqualified for some of these charges, I've yet to get a definitive answer on that. As far as constitutional scholars say that is true, but who enforces that? Would Congress have to pass some measure or something, and could that get through
The
a
thing-
Republican-controlled House?
the thing about it is the Supreme Court is actually looking at it right now, right? Republican leaders are starting to get a little bit nervous because if they put Trump on the ballot and then all this happens, people have voted for a man that can't be the president. So it leaves them screwed, right? Yes. So they're pushing to say, Supreme Court, we got to get a decision before primaries. Like, we need to know. And
I love that that's their thing. Let's get an answer. Let's not put the tainted guy on the ballot at all.
Right.
They're just like,
yes.
can he still win? Can he serve? Like,
but I think your guy, but people from around the states can also make an inquiry about this and get it turned over if enough people do it. Gavin Newsom, I think, was the first person to do it.
Well, I've been trying to tell my mom for a while that if he gets found guilty of some of these things, that he's disqualified from holding office. So I hope that's an ironclad sort of thing.
I hope so too.
But it's like a lot of the other things in the Constitution, Second Amendment, First Amendment. You know, nobody asks, okay, who's going to enforce that? We just automatically say that's what it is.
Well, kind of. I mean, the Second Amendment, there's gun laws that we work with.
There's that there. But what I'm saying though is that we don't ever question like what it is and what it says and what it means.
We don't read the contract. We just read the first thing. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying we don't question how it would be enforced. We just know that this is what the rule is.
But somebody has to put their foot down. Is that the Supreme Court? Is that this judge? Like, someone's got to say, like, based on the Constitution, you're now ineligible. So I just don't know who that is.
It's in the Supreme Court right now. They're reviewing it right now.
Okay.
But I would also think that the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, would have to rule on that too, and also individual states as well could say, well, you know what? He's actually been found guilty of this.
Yeah.
So we're not going to put him on our state's ballot.
But isn't this all based on decorum and norms and all that stuff that Trump just ignores left and right? You know?
It is, but I mean, if the Supreme Court decides on it, you know,
well, I have nothing but faith
option.
in the Supreme Court nowadays, so I'm sure they'll find, you know.
It's funny, dude, because, you know, you can, I mean, our founding fathers, when they wrote the document, did a great job of doing it the best they could without leaving a ton to interpretation. You know what I mean? Yeah. But my wife, who's a lawyer and took political law, Constitution, for 3 or 4 years, I think, said I still have so much more to learn. Like, it's so huge. It's a huge document.
That's the pro and con of it being a quote unquote living document. You know, people can debate the nuances. So,
yep.
You know, one other thing here, the average age of those who created the Constitution was 26 years old.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Now, what's interesting about that is that Vivek Ramaswamy actually has proposed that anyone between 18 and 25 should not have the right to vote, and that anybody like 25 to like 27 or 28 should have to pass a test to be able to vote. So in other words, you're going to listen to and tout the people who wrote the Constitution, whose average age was 26, 200 and something years ago, when we're more educated today, these days, and you don't want to listen to what people that age want to do policy-wise and vote now.
Right? Yeah.
No,
100%.
And when we see people like Pete Buttigieg or AOC, everyone's like, they're so young. Like, we can't take what they're saying for,
Yeah.
they're older than the founding fathers were.
And they are doing what? They're not signing with a feather quill. Right. Some progress has been made.
Yeah. Shouldn't we be caught because of their age? Shouldn't we be calling the founding fathers the founding bros?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you this. We interrupt our program to bring you a special. Here is a news bulletin. We interrupt this program to bring you
the humanity and all the things.
A date which will live in infamy. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Need to know news.
I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
News you need to know.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's time for another brewski. This one is a crazy brewski.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I come to you bearing a sports and political story all in one.
Wow.
Okay.
Fantastic. Don't tease us.
Now, I don't know if you gentlemen have heard of the name Natan Levy.
No.
Okay. He is an Israeli UFC fighter.
Okay.
He is 5'9", 155 pounds.
Okay.
He is currently 8-1-0 in the UFC.
Penis size?
I know, but I
sounds like an angry little
man. No, but he's a very thoughtful man, and actually, he's had some heated discussions, debates online with one Mr. Nick Fuentes.
Oh, okay. He's a conservative idiot.
That has denied.
Is that the UFC guy that started it or whatever?
No.
No. So Nick Fuentes is actually a white nationalist who actually is a Holocaust denier. And also Nick Fuentes is the guy that if you saw him, you'd know who he was. But
I hear he's the best in the biz.
Anyway, so here's the thing. So one of Nick Fuentes's minions decided that he wanted to take on this UFC fighter.
Okay.
Now, not typing on the keyboard. This guy actually thought that he could go into the cage with Natan Levy. And this ended as you would imagine. Now, this gentleman does say, and the video is online, I will share this with you, and I'm hoping we can share it on our social media. But this gentleman is a bigger guy, He does say in the video that he has martial arts background, and he's done some of this and some of that, and he says he's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu and that.
And he already has
thing.
brain damage since he's a conservative, so.
Okay, yeah. So now the video itself starts out interesting because he's actually already backtracking on some of the stuff that he said to Natan Levy. Now here they are standing in the gym face to face, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't say this, and I didn't mean that," and that sort of thing, right?
Right.
So then it gets time to go in the cage.
Crowd or no crowd?
Well, that's in the gym, and the only crowd that's in there are the other UFC fighters that are there to watch, that are there training as well. So these are the folks that are Hispanic and black and every race you can imagine.
United Colors of Benetton.
But they're hanging around the cage and watching Natan Levy just absolutely destroy this guy.
Wow.
At one point, Natan Levy puts him in a rear naked choke, and the guy starts tapping like crazy. And the thing about the UFC is when someone starts tapping, that's when you're supposed to release a chokehold. That means that will give up. Yeah. Meanwhile, Natan Levy you see his bicep grow tighter, and the guy's head growing redder and redder. He's squeezing tighter. He's choking this guy like you wouldn't believe.
He put him out, didn't he?
No, he didn't. He finally let him go, and the guy's like, I was tapping. What are you doing?
Fake news. I didn't see it.
The video's right there. It's fantastic. And so then they start sparring some more. And let's just say that by the time this is all said and done, between the head kicks and Natan Levy getting mounting top position on top of the guy and pounding and raining down blows with big gloves on,
just ground and pound.
This guy's nose did a hard left turn.
Nice.
And at the end of the fight, at the end of the sparring, they're outside the ring and outside the octagon, and he's on the camera, and they're like, "So what do you think now? What do you think now about this and that and everything?" And he's completely backing off and all that sort of thing. But Natan Levy, I salute you for doing the right thing and doing the good thing and beating the hell out of this damn Holocaust denier. Let's get Nick Fuentes in there and let's see what Nick has to do. But Nick won't get into fight. Nick said that he would fight the guy, and but then this guy said, "I'll fight him for you." And Nick was like, "Okay, go ahead, you fight him."
Sure.
What a great analogy for conservatives that don't know when they're in over their heads, don't know when they're being completely ignorant, don't know when they've been defeated. Yeah. And for living out all of our fantasies for kicking the crap out of one of these ignorant idiots. So that's,
oh my God! I'll share the video with you guys, and I'm hoping we can put it on our socials because it's about they did a 5-minute round, 1 5-minute round, and Natan Levy just wow! I mean,
knock some sense into him. That's great.
We would hope he knocks some sense into him. Yeah.
If not, still worth it.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know.
Steve Harness.
Thank you, everybody. So we've been talking about the decline of Twitter, now known as X, soon to be known as an X company. Like, I just can't imagine this company is going to be able to survive. And by the way, Elon Musk, just stop tweeting, stop Xing, whatever the hell we're calling it. Go on there, and he's got a lot of free time, apparently.
If I was a stockholder, I'd be like, "Oh, serious? What are you doing?"
Right. Exactly.
Well, but it's actually privately owned now. There aren't any stockholders anymore.
Oh, it's not publicly traded anymore? I didn't even realize that.
No. That's the thing is that he bought it. It's not publicly traded. His money actually came from the Saudis. Now, if they really start losing money, he's going to have to go talk to MBS and explain what he's got going on, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to get Khashoggi'd.
Well, he continues to do stupid things that are going to add to the decline of Twitter. Now, I got 2 little articles here. The first one is Elon Musk says that Twitter will no longer let you block other people. Isn't that just such an antithesis of social media? You're supposed to be able to, if somebody's harassing you, bullying you, you just don't want to see their crap, you're supposed to be able to block people. And we've had to block people on some of our social medias that are, threatening us and whatnot. And, you can diffuse the situation by blocking them because then they don't get to sit there flapping their gums at you anymore. But
yeah, it's the digital way of walking away from a fight, being like, hey, if we're not around each other, we'll be all good.
This speaks to Elon Musk doesn't want his baloney to be censored. And he knows that that's a way to censor, conservative garbage, to just I'm going to block you. I'm not going to read it. But he wants everyone to be able to just have this Wild West out there.
Well, but see, now I never block people because what happens is when you block them, they're told that they're blocked. And then that gives them some sort of satisfaction. So what I do is I mute them. Because you can still mute people. So now they can send all the messages they want, but you don't see them, and they're just spinning their wheels thinking that they're sending you all these messages. He hasn't said anything about the mute feature, but the block feature he says he's taking away.
That is correct. Apparently you'll still be able to mute people, but I don't understand the logic other than wanting to have unfiltered garbage everywhere. Because certainly if you're a minority or you're Jewish or something and you got neo-Nazis coming after you, you should be able to block them. Why? Yeah. What is the logic behind taking that option away from individuals?
Because he doesn't like just exactly what you said, dude. He doesn't want his stuff to be blocked. And this is a metaphor for putting this out into the world, too, by the way, which is what he's doing. And we're going to see so much garbage on X now if that happens. He hasn't done it yet, right?
No. And apparently Apple is saying that it violates their App Store guidelines to not allow people to be blocked on social media.
Perfect. Goodbye. Get off the App Store, dude. Bye.
Right. So we'll see if this comes to fruition, and there could actually be lawsuits and everything else. You're allowing harassment, basically.
So, Michael, hey, I have a question. What does that mean for people that he has blocked? And what about the people that Trump has blocked, not as president, but as a private citizen? That means that all of those people become unblocked as well, and they are free. They have free reign to go and start sending messages to him again. It's not just other people that it affects. It affects him as well.
No, for sure. But you're just putting fuel on a fire right there. So now Trump can't block you. So what's Trump going to do? He'll do something else to come after you, start attacking you more. I had said years ago when Trump first got elected president that I was paranoid that if I harassed him on social media, that because we have a radio station that's federally licensed, that he could come after us and take that license away. And I laughed, and I was like, think how paranoid I'm being. But then months later, we learned that they were trying to unmask Twitter users, anonymous people. They wanted to know who the real person was.
Yes.
For no other reason than to be able to go after them. So what I thought was paranoid, delusions was actually happening in the White House.
Dude, when Trump first got elected, what's the show that everyone was watching? About Handmaid's Tale, okay? Rachel was like crying when Trump got elected. She's like, it's the Handmaid's Tale. And do you know what the Handmaid's Tale is about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's the Handmaid's Tale. We're headed right for it. I was like, no, we're not.
Right.
Relax, dude.
And now everyone says that all the time because that is, in fact, where we're headed. So
yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're living in this world where what should be paranoid, delusional things are actually legitimate.
And talking about, the stress you were saying earlier, I have just got to go along for this ride and watch it because everything is so stressful when you're reading the news. Everything evokes emotion now. The news used to be you'd read 435 people dead on a train in China, okay? And you would feel bad, empathy, stuff like that. Or it was a happy story. For the most part, this is an emotional roller coaster taking you down at all times. And I don't know, personally, I know we got to talk about the news, but I got to limit my intake on it throughout the week.
Yeah, absolutely. This speaks to what we were talking about in the world of dating, where it used to be that you didn't hold someone's politics against them. But nowadays, politics are affecting real world things, real human beings and science and everything else. It's no longer just politics. It speaks to your moral compass.
It comes down to values. Do you want to spend time with someone who has opposite values than you do? Things that you believe that are your core beliefs.
Yes.
It's not just tax cuts we're arguing over anymore. I mean,
it's how I'm raising my children, how I'm making my decisions at work and in my personal life. Like, that's what it's all about.
You know what I always say, and I'm going to censor myself a little bit. Friends don't let friends F pro-lifers.
Oh, yeah. You should get a T-shirt that says that, Brisky.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they say that's the biggest thing that's going to be on the ballot, boys.
Yeah, and that has been motivating people so far. So between stuff like abortion access and just the insanity happening on the right, I have to believe enough sane people are going to show up on Election Day. But
I think so
there are
too.
no sane people in Ohio and Pennsylvania. I don't know.
not that I want to really quote Steve Bannon, but he was talking about this whole issue, and he said, "Hey, here's the deal, Republicans." Whoever is our nominee for president, which is probably going to be Trump, needs to back off this whole abortion thing because we're not going to get the votes that we need to get if this is all you're slamming home, because there's people that ride that line that we need their vote.
Yes.
You have to calm the talk down a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see if they do.
I almost brought the article in. Maybe we'll do it next time. But apparently being anti-woke is not testing very well anymore with conservatives. And a bunch of political consultants are telling the Republican nominees, like, you got to back off this woke stuff. It's not testing the way you think it is anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
enough people believe in treating people nicely, apparently. So.
Right.
Well, and we've seen Captain Woke, anti-woke, I should say, DeSantis saying, "Oh, I've moved on from my fight with Disney." And he said that Disney should drop their lawsuit against him.
Right.
That he's moved on.
Yeah, I'm done with this.
Disney's gonna ruin him.
I was just kidding around, guys. I swear.
Well, he went on Megan whatever. I don't know.
Megyn Kelly.
Yes. And tried to say, like, no, I wasn't attacking Disney. That had nothing. That wasn't political. And even Megan was like, what are you talking about? You flat out said that's why you're going after them for being woke and everything. What, me?
Yeah.
That wasn't
exactly.
me. But back on the Elon Musk thing. So, yeah, he's not going to let you block people, which is highly debatable. We'll see if that happens. But I had talked to one of the previous shows about the fact that advertising on social media sites is already dangerous enough because there's a comment section and you pay for an ad and then you open yourself up to all these people just commenting and ridiculing the crap out of you. And that's a weird way to do advertising. And Twitter's been losing advertisers. It's one of the reasons the value of the company has gone down, and one of the reasons they're struggling, and Musk is whining about, bringing advertisers back. Brewski brought an article about where they're trying to force some advertisers to spend a minimum amount, or
Yeah.
they're like blacklist them basically on there. So here's a fun one. 2 brands suspended advertising on X after their ads appeared next to pro-Nazi content.
Wow.
At least 2 brands have said that they will suspend their advertising on X, formerly known as Twitter, as their ads and those of other companies were run on accounts promoting fascism. The issue came less than a week after ex-CEO Linda Yaccarno publicly affirmed the company's commitment to brand safety for advertisers.
Hey, dude, when you go to buy as an advertiser, you're looking at, hey, I want to be on the vocal minority 3 to 6 Monday through Friday, and I don't care to be on any other day part. You make that decision when you buy your contract. So if these national advertisers can't do that and say, yeah, I'll advertise with you, I don't want to be associated with these things.
Right. There's a whole bunch of talk shows out there that I get lists from advertisers. Do not put me on this show because of their opinions. I don't want to be associated with that.
Right.
And then there's even basic rules that, you don't play 2 restaurants back to back. Like you allow people some security around their advertising. And here's Twitter, because they've been taken over by so much neo-Nazi garbage, it's everywhere. So ads are just mathematically ending up next to it because it's so much, and they're doing nothing to filter it or block it. So they're losing advertisers as they're trying to gain advertisers because Elon Musk is just letting it be the Wild West.
I don't know what happened to him, dude. I mean, I don't know. Like we've talked about before, there was a point where maybe we just didn't know him. Now we do. But he's crazy. This is a crazy man.
Yes, it really is. So, yeah. And I keep seeing Teslas driving all over these areas. And, I live in a very liberal area, and half these people don't seem to realize what they're supporting there. So,
you have a lot of Teslas in Tahoe?
Yeah, I mean, not locals, but, we get a lot of Bay Area types and
Sure.
whatnot, and Silicon Valley's just down the hill. So, yeah, there's a lot of Teslas up here all the time, but they're almost all owned by liberals that want to have a cleaner car and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I told you I saw a bumper sticker a while ago on a Tesla that said, I bought this before I knew his politics. So,
Yeah, well, that's when you've failed as a automaker.
Yeah, he's doing really well at destroying brands. We'll see how far it goes.
Yes.
Need to know news. News you need to know.
This world is full of evil, gentlemen. When I say that, we find the evil in politics, we find evil in criminals, evil in friends, evil in the police force.
Sure.
This is one of the people you're supposed to be able to trust: doctors, police people, and, well, maybe your priest or religious leader. Like, you should be able to trust these people.
Yeah, all the good old days.
Yeah, it's not that way anymore, dude. I mean, you cannot just automatically, like, I would never automatically trust my priest. You know what I mean? If I would need to see that priest for quite a long time to be able to say, I trust this guy,
And police, yeah, it used to always be the police are there to help you.
Yes, dude. We are supposed to teach our children, or any children in this world, to be like, hey, if you have trouble, go to that person. They'll help you.
Yeah.
Look for the helpers.
That's right. 6 California police officers have been charged with fraud after they paid people to take college classes for them. All right. This is a bigger deal than it even sounds like, because this is basically what happened. Is the department said, all right, police people, we're going to pay for you to go to an online institution, and if you graduate, your pay will increase this level for everything that you graduate, okay?
Okay.
So these police officers get the idea to, we'll pay somebody to take these classes for us, and then we'll start making more money, and have never actually had the training that they're supposed to go through.
Right.
Okay. So, like,
God forbid you go take the class and learn something.
Right.
I'm sure it wasn't advanced mathematics, wasn't the class or something.
No, dude. I mean, you're going to school. You want to go to school or not, but you can't do that. I mean, it's illegal to do that, and they are now finding that out. The officers are facing wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud charges. If convicted, they could face up to 20 years in federal prison for doing this little stunt.
Nice. That's good. I hope these weren't ethics classes they were supposed to be taking. That's the irony.
Look, they name this online institution and just say, hey, this is where you can go take classes. We don't even know. They could be just trying to indoctrinate them, or they could be trying to help them a little bit. But either way, they're paying you to go take the training.
It's interesting. I mean, the police academy is already succinct enough. It's not like it's a 4-year police academy or something. You know, most of them are a month or two long. And then you get a gun and set loose out on the streets. So
yeah, I mean, don't you remember when Mahoney and Larvell Jones and Tackleberry and Mr. Sweetchuck all went to the police academy?
Yeah, it was full of shenanigans. I almost wanted to be a cop watching those 80s movies.
Yeah, no kidding.
A lot of nudity at the police academy. Who knew?
Yeah, I know. Who knew? Who knew?
And we see, dude, that a lot of European countries will have police training is like 2 years, 3 years, and we see that, oh wow, they really know how to de-escalate stuff over there. They get so much training, dude. You go for a couple of months now, and you have, I mean, full ability to do anything to anyone, ruin anyone's life. Like, it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I watch a lot of First Amendment audit videos, and there was one I was watching the other day. They were in Texas, and the auditor's talking to the cops, and he says something to the effect of, like, do you guys find it weird that your police academy in Texas is a 4-week course, but in Texas to be a certified barber, you have to take a year-long course? And the cop was just like, nope, I don't see any weirdness there. Wow.
See, and I think if you were a good officer, you would be like, yes, it's crazy. Like, I would love to have more training. It would make my job easier. I'd do it better, you know. But if you say, like, no, I don't find that weird at all, you should not be a cop.
No, you don't want to learn more, and you're afraid they're going to teach you something that will go against what you've convinced yourself is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I saw a thing on NBC the other day. They were, this whole defund the police thing, which is not actually about defunding the police. It's about putting money into different resources, especially for domestic violence or mental health issues, sending basically a counselor out instead of a cop. Or
it's a restructured, adapt to things people are going through. Mental health issues has become a huge thing.
Yes.
Well, but you know what, though? So those are calls, by the way, that police unions have been begging to have taken off their hands for decades. Right. Not just within the past few years, but for decades now. They've been asking, hey, listen, we don't want to take these calls. The TV ones, the mental health ones, even the drug overdoses. They're just like, send somebody else to do that. We want to just focus on, like, actual crime stuff, like violent crime. Yeah,
exactly. And it makes total sense, by the way. It's a whole different category if somebody has mental health issues. And so they were following around in some cities, and I can't remember, I think it was Chicago maybe, but basically they came up with money on their own to start some of these programs as a test pilot to let's send out a mental health person with a cop for the guy on the street corners waving a sword around or whatever, and let's see what happens.
We did it in Seattle.
Yeah. And they've been having great success. And there was this one video I saw that, I mean, it brought a tear to my eye. It was a cop and it was a female counselor or whatever she would be called. And the clip of the video they showed, it was a man with a knife, and they had clearly been talking to him for a while. And the part of the clip was the woman saying to the guy, please drop the knife so I can come give you a hug.
Right.
And the guy drops the knife, the cop grabs the knife, the counselor goes over and gives this guy a hug, and the whole situation was de-escalated.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so right, dude, that this restructure that is what they call defunding the police, they admitted, hey, we made a bad call in the name of this.
Liberals are terrible at marketing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes, notoriously. So, but this is what it's all about. And even if you're not going to take just, clinical physicians to go out and, take a suicide call or whatever, you got to train your officers. You got to train the people. If they're willing to do it with training, then do that, dude. I've seen it work time and time again. There's a huge clip on the internet that I'm sure you've seen of this guy that gets pulled over, and he's a veteran, and he's going through crap, dude, and he's suicidal and in the car, and he gets out, and the cop is like, hey, you want a hug, man? And he just hugs him, and the guy's like, oh, you're going to take care of me? Like he was going to kill himself. Like, this works for different situations.
Right. If the cops will take the training and not pay someone to go take it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
So 20 years. Let's just hope that they get the max, but somehow I know they probably won't.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know.
Well, so I don't have any school age children.
Right.
In your trunk
but-
right now? Is that what you're
although I will tell you, I had a passenger last week. I was going to tell you guys, and she was railing about trans this, trans that on a phone call with someone, and then she decided after she got off the phone she wanted to talk to me about it, and well, and so then
That's
she's
tricky for you because you need a tip and a good review, and
well, I don't care. I still say whatever I think.
Nice.
You can't silence Broski.
And so she said to me, she's like, well, I bet you don't have any children. And I said, well, actually, I have a nice starter kit. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I've got a box of puppies and a windowless van at home. So
I may have 3 kids by the end of the day. We'll see.
And she did not find that funny at all. She did not find that funny at all. She thought she was just, So anyway, I tell you all that because they've decided in Louisiana, which, by the way, ranks last in education in our United States.
Wow.
Shocking.
Now, the first day of school is coming up on Monday, and parents are upset because now, on the eve of the school starting, the school board has decided to move from a 5-day school week to a 4-day school week.
Oh, hallelujah.
Now-
They did something smart.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. I mean, if you're a parent, I think you'd probably want a little more notice on this sort of thing, because if you got young kids, you got to worry about daycare.
Well, that's fair. Yeah. They literally just announced it a few days before the start of the school.
Absolutely, right before the school year was supposed to start, they decided to do that.
They did it to my sister with, this is what we're going to do, half days every Friday or whatever. Didn't give them any notice, and she went through hoops to try and figure out childcare. Like, she works.
Yes.
It's
very complicated. We have good schools around here, but like the elementary school used to start at like 9:30, and the middle school and high school started at like 8:15 or something. So if you've got kids in each, like, how are you dropping kids off? And then same thing, like every Wednesday's a half day for some reason. Like, it's just a weird schedule, but stick with something. But for work days, for school days, I'm all in favor of this 4-day schedule stuff. So.
Well, but the other thing too, though, is that some of the parents are concerned because they're not extending the school day to make up for that last day.
Yeah, they're not learning anything in Louisiana anyway. So what do you?
I know. There's that, but that's what some of the parents were saying was if they were extending the school day, because the school days are going to be from Tuesday to Friday.
We are last in education. Let's give them less of it. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Got nothing to lose, so
yeah. Like if you added like an extra hour or two, to each one of the other school days. Well, now then you're making up that last day of school. But
that would make sense. So whoever came up with the plan must have gone to Louisiana schools.
It must have been. But now these parents are like, well, I got to figure out childcare, and then there's after school activities that are being affected too. And so I bring this to you because Steve, you have school age kids, and you can speak to how difficult it can be for when this sort of thing gets sprung on you.
Would it be hard on their testing?
Testing?
I mean, when I'm making out with my sister and working on my pickup truck all day, I just don't have time to be driving kids all over the place. So I understand Louisiana lifestyle is going to get really complicated soon. But no, it's all a big juggling hassle. And single parenting sucks even more for those kinds of reasons. But I mean, I would probably appreciate a little more heads up. But.
Yeah, exactly. Like, tell me at least a few weeks ahead of time that this is what we plan on doing. Don't go and spring it on us a few days before the first day of school.
Yeah. When we were in school, dude, if our grades started to slip or if we were failing a class, like I either had to go to Saturday school or summer school, right? Like failing wasn't an option. You got in trouble for it. You had to go make it up. So taking away the education is that's probably not the best idea when you're last on the list for education.
Yeah.
Right. Again, they got nothing to lose though. So let's see how that experiment works out for them.
Maybe Arkansas. Maybe Louisiana is going to follow what Arkansas is doing, where they're allowing 13 and 14-year-olds to, work in factories and serve alcohol and that sort of thing. Get the kids in some real life work experience as early as they can.
As a Californian, I'm sick of paying for everything in Louisiana. So if you guys could step it up down there, that'd be great.
And look how it turned out for Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump, dude. They both made out well, right?
Oh,
they didn't.
Okay, now I'm gonna throw something at you guys.
Yeah.
You said Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
I had a passenger this past week who had a dog, a big bulldog that had 3 legs.
Oh, was his name Lieutenant Dan?
It was.
That is the greatest thing I've ever heard. That is great. I got a friend that somehow I never realized this, but he sort of looks like Lieutenant Dan. Okay, and we were at a party, law party, which would give those are ragers, dude. He's sitting somehow on his calves. And so I can just see his knees. I got a picture that I'll send to you guys that he looks exactly like Lieutenant Dan. And there's lawyers everywhere. There's conversation going, and scotch being drank. And he's Lieutenant Dan. I lose it in this room and everyone's turning around. And they're like, what is so funny? I'm like, I can't even get it out. I'm laughing so hard. And finally, this room's basically quiet. They're all staring at me. And I finally get out. It's Lieutenant Dan. No one found it funny.
No one got it
at all. And I was just left to be like an idiot, just dying on the ground. I was like,
well, that's why you're at those things, right? To be the comic relief.
Yes. Need to know news indeed. Lieutenant Dan, we miss you.
This is the only news you need to know. After all, this is Need to Know News. News you need to know. Enough said.
Indeed. I just saw some lightning flash here. That's fine.
Oh boy.
Oh, the storm's coming in.
Yes, hurricane
Riders
on
the storm
coming my way. So
you got to play some Jim Morrison, by the way, Steve.
Riders on the Storm.
Yeah.
Light my fire from the lightning. Which one?
No, Riders on the Storm, of course.
Okay. Pick your reference. Nick and I are big coffee fans. I always like to bring any new coffee news that makes it into the cycle because this is Need to Know News. Forget politics. People care about their coffee. So
yes.
We've debated before how much is too much. We've talked about energy drinks having 200 milligrams of caffeine and that being absurd, but that an average cup of coffee has pretty much about that. Nick and I are both drinking coffee today. I had my Starbucks. I stopped on the way.
Yeah, I got mine. Yeah. We're all good.
Yeah.
Brewski? What are you drinking?
I'm just water. Just water.
Bud Light? Come on.
I will be this weekend. This week, I'm going to make sure to order it as often as I can when I'm in Tennessee.
Good.
Yeah.
Please do. Be proud. So anyway, this is yet another article trying to address the topic of how much coffee is good for you, bad for you, or whatever. So the latest, and this will probably change in 2 more weeks with the next article, but the Food and Drug Administration recommends people cap their daily caffeine intake at 400 milligrams, or about 4 or 5 8-ounce cups of coffee. Like a 5-ounce cup of coffee, that's just that little cup, right? That's not even a good-sized mug.
My mug is I think it's about 9 to 10 ounces, so that's about half a cup of regular coffee.
Right. My hydro flask holds like 20 ounces of coffee or something. So they're saying, cap it at about 4 or 5 ounce cups of coffee, 400 milligrams total. Most people are unlikely to experience serious side effects of caffeine, like erratic heartbeats, vomiting, seizures, diarrhea, or even death, unless they consume 1,200 milligrams or 12 cups a day. Now, 1,200 milligrams, Nick, you and I are both over 400. I can almost guarantee that.
Oh, yeah.
1,200's a lot, but there's many days where I have drank coffee kind of throughout the day, or I drink 2 of my French presses by myself.
Yeah. There's days that I'll have 12 cups of coffee, like big cups of coffee.
Really?
Yeah. Because I drink it at night, too. As soon as I get done eating, if I'm home anyway, as soon as I get done making dinner, I am like an old man. I go make my coffee, my after-dinner drink.
Yes. And how are you sleeping?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I went to decaf at night. I was just drinking the full stuff. But yeah.
Right. Nick had great advice for me years ago about, at Starbucks, the venti is like the extra large and the grande is the large, basically. And I was like, what should I order in the morning? He's like, venti. Like, grande's only for afternoon coffee. Like,
right, yeah.
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
So 400 milligrams a day is what they recommend we all stop at. So if you're a 2 cup a day kind of person, you're probably doing okay. But if you're at 3, 4, 5, 6 cups coffee a day, they're saying you could in fact end up with what was the list?
Diarrhea, high heart rate, death,
erratic heartbeat, and death.
Yeah. This is funny,
died, though, from drinking too much coffee.
I'll tell you this, dude. This is funny that you bring this up on this show, is because 2 days ago I was talking to my brother, and he had been to the doctor, and his heart rate was really high. Like the doctor said, your resting heart rate, I think, was like 120 something, resting. And that's very high.
That's really high.
It should be between 60 and 72, 73.
I was going to say, I've learned in therapy that if your heartbeat is over 100 beats per minute, you're no longer in your right mind to be making sound decisions about your emotions and responses and whatnot. So your brother's resting heart rate is 120?
So
that's not good at all.
It was when he went to the doctor, and I asked him, I was like, 120? Like, didn't you feel like when you were laying on the couch like you were working out? Or at least, sweeping something? Like, that's weird that you didn't notice that. He was like, no, I guess it's just been that way for a while, I guess. So I didn't really notice it. But I asked him, what are you going to do about it? He said, I gave up coffee, and he used to have 4 or 5 Cokes a week, okay? And
so
I
Coke
said...
and coffee, okay.
Coke and coffee. So I asked him, and he was kind of like us. He drank coffee all throughout the day. So he gave up cold turkey, gave up caffeinated pop, and went back, had it retested. He went down to 76 from stopping that.
Wow.
I said, that is incredible, dude. Because the thing that maybe you don't think about is if you have a high resting heart rate, this ticker inside of us, when it was built, and depending how you treat it, was only made to give 1 million clicks, okay?
Right.
If you have a higher heart rate, your heart will die faster. Like, you will die faster.
The battery will run out sooner, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, if I was him, I'd say, okay, now I'm going to go back to drinking coffee. I'll skip the Coke still. Can I get my heart rate to like 90? Like, I try to find the sweet spot because that's a lot to just give up all of a sudden.
He said the results were so good that he was like, I'm good. I'm not craving it. Like, I'm good. That helped out, so.
He's now beating up strangers in traffic because he's so tense and stressed out. But, his heart rate's doing better, though. So.
Yeah. He's going to live a long time.
Interesting. So there you go. And if you are drinking energy drinks, that means if you're drinking 2 of those a day, you're at the limit already, too. So factor all of that in. Coke, by the way, was pretty darn low compared to energy drinks and coffee as far as caffeine goes. So.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the sugar caffeine effect when you're drinking Coke.
Right. That's the problem with Coke because it's got way more sugar than any of that stuff. So.
I think a can of Coke has more sugar than you need in a week, honestly.
Yeah, that's probably right.
So,
and you can use it to degrease an engine. So what does that tell you?
Right? Yeah, you can take the rust off nails. Nice. Do we have time for another?
If it's quick, yeah, sure.
No, it's not quick. I'll save it.
Then you save that, and we can wrap it on up.
All right. Well, Brewski, we will say goodbye to you as you get on JetBlue, the finest of all airlines, and head for Memphis, Tennessee.
Yes. Going to Graceland?
I sure am. Yep.
Nice. What was the impetus for this? Why'd you guys decide Memphis?
So my sister's a big Elvis fan, and she wanted to go to Graceland, and so I just said, okay, let's do it. And then also a friend of mine, his band plays at a restaurant in Tennessee, in Nashville, I should say, on Tuesdays. And so the flights are cheaper to Nashville.
Oh, so you're flying into Nashville.
Yeah, we're flying into Nashville, and then we're driving. It's 3 hours from Nashville to Memphis, and then we're spending a few days in Memphis.
Okay. Are you going to go to Kid Rock's bar and buy some Bud Light? Well, you're in Nashville.
I wasn't planning on it, but I can do it and take a picture to send to for the socials.
That'd be hilarious. Buy him one since he's still drinking it. You know?
Yeah, I just may have to do that.
Right.
Are you going to take a lot of photographs inside the king's throne? I mean, his house, not just his throne.
Toilet?
No. I mean, I want to see his toilet. That's where he died, right? I mean,
just so you know, we actually bought the the highest ticket you can buy for Graceland.
what does that mean? You can roll around on his bed?
I wish it was something like that. No, it's a smaller group, and it's a guided tour. They also bring you to other places that other tickets you don't get to see. Like, you don't get to see all the cars if you buy the cheaper tickets, which I like. And then also you get lunch. They didn't say if it's peanut butter and banana sandwiches or not.
I hope it is. It better be an Elvis themed menu, dude.
Right. With some Quaaludes put in there.
Yes. Oh, and then you should be able to have an Elvis style lunch and then use his toilet on the way out.
Yes. Well, I told you guys I bought those Elvis sneakers to wear to Graceland.
Oh, fantastic.
So do you remember that white jumpsuit he had with the Thunderbird on it? Like
sure.
The red. So I found these sneakers online that are just like knockoff Nikes, and on the side they actually have that Thunderbird embroidered on the side of the sneakers.
Beautiful,
cool.
Brisky.
Nice.
Are you wearing Elvis glasses? I mean, you got to get some sunglasses, right?
I have glasses, but no Elvis glasses. Just my Ray-Bans and my cop shades. So
all right.
Not by the souvenir shop. And hopefully that access, you're paying for, they say Elvis hangs out in the kitchen there still.
Oh, really? He's a ghost.
Maybe we get to meet the king. Well, he's still alive. Come on, he's not dead yet.
Oh, that's true. He's running the country.
I saw that.
Listen,
Yes, exactly.
Is your sister, is she going to freak when she's in there seeing his things?
I don't know. She likes all the Elvis movies, and she likes a lot of that stuff. So I'm excited because she's super excited for it. Oh, and we're going to a place in Memphis, this bar that was the first place where Elvis played his first gig.
Nice, dude.
It's still there.
Wow. Sounds like a very fun trip, dude. So take some pictures and, bring some experience back with you and let us know more about it.
Yeah,
I will do that.
Live the Elvis experience. Steal something from a black guy while you're there, okay?
Oh, boy. It's the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, all of Brewski. Travel safe, Brewski, and say goodbye.
Goodbye, Brewski. Thank you.
Test one,
Thank you very
two.
much.
Test one, two.
Check. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Nick Reynolds, Steve Harness, and Cousin Brewski. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Take one.